Good afternoon, Alana. It's Thursday? It's actually Wednesday. It's beautiful out today, and I have some ideas for videos, so I want to talk about kind of a continuation of my previous video on who we are and what makes us who we are. Two recent examples that I found. One was on Facebook, and it was basically a little comic wherein you had a woman who had just kind of been catcalled, I think, and she was like, noticeably upset about it, and it's indicated that she's transgender in the comic, and so this cisgender woman says, well, welcome to womanhood, and then it's kind of explained through the comic. The transgender woman says, that doesn't actually make me feel very valid because I was always a woman. And you saying, like, welcome to womanhood is making me feel invalid. And so here we can kind of see, like, two examples that I gave, kind of two schools of thought of, like, who we are. And so the first one, we have the cisgender woman who's kind of saying that who we are is defined by how other people categorize us. So the one woman, because she was transgender, she was identified and socialized as male when she was growing up. So that's kind of who she was at that point in time. How she reflected onto other people, how they thought of her, reflected onto who she was. But we have contrasted with that, the woman who is transgender, she believes, I have always been this way. Your images of who I am do not define who I am, and my own feelings dictate that, which I thought was really interesting. And then a second example of this, kind of manifested in a real life example, is a podcast I was listening to about this beer summit. I have no recollection of it, but basically President Obama was talking about healthcare, and he gave a press conference on it. At the end of the press conference, someone asked him about this incident that had just happened in Cambridge about a black professor who was basically, he was locked out of his own home. He was trying to get in, and the police came because they thought he was like a burglar or something. And even after it was evident that he lived in the house, they still arrested him. And President Obama was asked to comment on that, and he said, I think the officer acted stupidly, which I just thought was like so beautiful, because stupidly is an adverb. It's not an adjective. And so he was characterizing this man's actions. That's how beautiful it was. And then after this press conference, you have the police chief saying, none of our officers are stupid. But that's not what President Obama said. And so in that moment, maybe unintentionally or very intentionally, depending on, maybe he was trying to make a fuss with President Obama, he insinuated that the actions someone does are directly associated with who that person is and what the attributes are of that person. So then we have this school of thought that you are defined by your actions. And I just thought that was so amazing and beautiful, beautiful examples of how our thoughts about who we are manifest in real life and how they kind of complicate issues that we have with each other. So yeah, this is just a mini vid of some thoughts I was having. Hope you're having a great week. I'll see you on Friday.